AP warrant number 36 for $7,220.54. PY warrant number 37 for $14,691.92. AP warrant number 38 for $172,669.19. AP warrant number 39 for $7,761.10. AP warrant number 40 for $30,287.57. PY warrant number 41 for $6,375.30. PY warrant number 42 for $6,253.30. AP warrant number 43 for, $164,084.92. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the warrant as read. Second, all in favor? 3-0. Abatement supplements, none. Did you guys read the minutes from January 3rd and January 22nd? Does anybody have any changes or questions? No? There was a hesitant no?
It was.
Okay,
I'm quiet.
okay. So we're gonna, so it's safe to make a motion to accept the minutes as read? Okay, the minutes as we've read them. I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes from January 3rd and January 22nd of 2024. Second, all in favor? 3-0. Agenda adjustments. Cindy?
Did you just add to my report, water tank, FEMA, and fuel bid?
Water tank,
FEMA
FEMA,
and
fuel bid.
Yep.
Okay, so those two things are done. Okay, Newburgh Fire and Rescue, you are up.
So, we'll just do a very quick one for the January. 464, all the repairs that we had talked about was completed. That was all done. We had started the process for the AFG grant. Captain Ashford has been putting some serious time into that. And we have pretty much got that underway.
How about 498, the unfortunate mishap with 498?
Now that's on for the February month. We
Right.
will jump ahead to that one, and so unfortunately, we had a mishap on a call with 498 down on Carmel Road North. We were leaving a scene, and the driver had the headlights off because we had oncoming vehicles at the scene, so we had shut the lights off so that we weren't blinding people coming in. We were also then asked to go with Carmel Ambulance to assist with 2 patients on the ambulance, so they were headed out with 498, and he unfortunately was trying to shut the red lights off, turn the headlights on, and he took his eyes off the road to find the on and off light switch, and he sideswiped the outside coming of the guide rail at the bridge down on 69. It was unknown to me at the point of time until after we got back, and it was pointed out he didn't hide nothing, and I immediately contacted Cindy, gave her an immediate heads up, and then asked her what I needed to do, and we started the process right then and there. I took it down for an estimate with Forest Auto Body.
Okay.
Reason being that Judd and his wife live right here in town, so I figured they would give us a fair estimate to at least get us started underway. And then I had also asked Ashley Campbell, who's a personal friend and also has lived in town for close to probably 20 years, to do the same thing for me, so we would have some numbers to compare with. I believe he actually gave me an unofficial estimate of $8,000, but he didn't want to get involved with unfortunately, as he put it, the town politics in Newburgh. So he just gave me a number to go with and said, this is what it's gonna cost you, and there's no doubt about it. And the other one was 6,000 from Forest Auto Body to start,
So I didn't bring it in.
and then, I believe that you had an adjuster come from
Adjuster came from the
insurance company and basically verified the fact that it was gonna cost
In
a
that
fair
range.
amount of, within the range of that, for sure. Unfortunately, those vehicles are aluminum bodied, they're not steel like your old school vehicles are. So most paneling on those have to be replaced. Repairing them is just so time consuming and extremely hard to get them right that they just go with replacement of panels.
Okay,
So that was the biggest issue with that, especially for the cost. Plus the striping and the lettering is gonna have to be replaced on that side of the truck as well. So that,
that's underway.
that is underway. The truck is still serviceable. We're still using it. It's not affecting that part of it whatsoever, so the truck will remain in service until I get the phone call or Cindy gets the phone call and says, we're ready for you, and then we will take it out of service for that time frame, and we will set something else up for a response factor for that until it comes back.
Who did you go with for repairs?
Say that again, please.
Who did you decide to go with?
Forest Auto Body, Angela and Judd. The AFG grant for the hopes for the new pumper tanker has been submitted, and we have got past the first step by getting it actually accepted into the pool. So that is a good thing to start off with. We won't know probably anything until June, yeah?
Ish.
June-ish. So we're just fingers crossed between now and then, but at least we didn't get knocked out of the AFG side of it immediately, so we are in the running. So that's a huge plus,
Okay,
so,
Along with hundreds of thousands of other.
yes. And then some,
It didn't get kicked back.
so. Other than that, that's pretty much right where we're at. The month was actually pretty low on numbers for calls overall for February, but we were still able to thankfully answer 100% for everything again this month.
okay. I also have on here pay scale and extractor machine.
Yep, so Captain Ashford is gonna do some of the talking on this one. He's had a lot to do with both of these projects with me. But what we are coming here to ask, to start off with is with the extractor. We had some troubles with the extractor being put where it was originally planned for location. The room that we were gonna put it in would have been suffice had the company told us that they needed 18 inches of space from the wall out for the machine to actually set where the base would be placed. It was never disclosed, it was never mentioned, and it was never even a thought process that was given to us. So once we did the 18-inch measure, it basically put the extractor close to a third of the way out into the doorway of the room as you would walk into it. So it was going to
You'd have to
be,
turn sideways and go around.
yeah, it would have been a block hazard for that room, and that's just not gonna happen. So we have figured out, with some help from ABM and Carmel Electric, and we did some figuring up overhead, and we're gonna put it up on the mezzanine. It's going to consist of some extra cost factors because of this. And we've gotta get a forklift unit brought in so that we can get it up through the gate. And we've got to run conduit for the electrical from the panel box over to where it will be set and plugged in. we also need to set up the drain that we're gonna hopefully be able to hook into the existing drain system that is up there now for the hot water tank assembly,
I would check that out first.
where it's
Before.
already been,
I believe ABM's been here
ABM's
already.
been here. And I was just gonna ask Cindy to confirm that for me, they have been, correct? So it's doable. The problem is that we're looking at around $3,000.
$5,000,
How much?
almost 5,000.
Almost 5,000 now?
How much
So-
was the ABM quote?
$3,800. And $1,015 for Carmel Electric.
So, as I always do, with a smile on my face, I've got to come to you guys and ask for some help, because that's way out beyond what we were obviously expecting, and way out beyond what I have for availability. I have got to be able to keep some reserved until June in my budget, and that's going to take a huge chunk of my money. So,
I know you guys got this, I'm just gonna say what I'm thinking. I know you guys got this extractor with a grant,
yes,
but how much does it cost us to wash our stuff in town?
$25
$25
per set of gear.
for a set of gear,
yeah.
$25.
Yeah, so I'll jump in now.
So why did you need an extractor?
Yeah, so I gave you guys quite a bit of information back when we initially had the conversation where you told me to go in for the grant, right? So, yes,
Well,
it's $25
We
for.
said you could go, I wasn't supportive of buying an extractor. You said there was a grant process, so that's how that rolled.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
told to put in for the grant if we wanted the extractor. That's what I was told. So we put in for the grant for the extractor because right now, while yes, we can go for $25 every time we wash our gear, and that over time is cheaper for quite a while, right? However, our gear's not getting washed enough. So maintenance wise and cancer risk wise and just general hygiene wise, it doesn't make sense for us to have to utilize Union Street Laundry, expose those people to the same carcinogens to wash it that we're being exposed to already. Just about every fire department in the state is buying their own extractors. I mean, with the exception of real small departments. You know, I mean, and we're fortunate that we got a $15,000 grant from Stephen and Tabitha King for it. And I spent long enough trying to dot my I's and cross my T's to make sure that this unit was gonna work, that I was asked by both Cindy and Brent what was taking so long. Well, it was a lot of phone conversations back and forth with Eric Roberts at Yankee Equipment, and left out the 18 inches when I asked him 4 times for the dimensions of the machine.
It has to be 18 inches away from the wall, is that what they're saying?
Yeah, for maintenance purposes, for them to be able to come in and work on it, that's their specifications, and it was never disclosed to us in any of our conversation pieces, anything that we had in writing. It never showed or told us that there needed to be 18 inches of space away from the wall. We showed them with pictures for the plugins for the electrical. We showed them the drainage setup that we had, and everything that we showed them, they were, yep, that'll work, yep, that'll work, yep, that'll work. So Cindy was actually there when it was delivered, and
Yeah, Cindy heard the conversation that I had with the 2 delivery guys. I was not impressed when they said it's not gonna fit. So what do you mean it's not gonna fit? He sent me the specs for the machine. We've talked about it 6 times. What do you mean it's not gonna fit? Was a very brief summary of the very long scolding.
Right.
And they said, I don't know why you didn't tell you. So, but,
The
I
18
mean,
inches is for maintenance purposes.
maintenance purposes, yeah.
Can it sit closer to the wall?
They won't hook it up if you don't put it 18
They were,
inches from
yeah,
the wall.
they essentially said we're not gonna hook it up if it's any closer, and we're not gonna maintain it if it's any closer. So Cindy actually had the idea of putting it upstairs, which I thought was a great idea.
Yep.
We've got room for it. It's actually an excellent use of that space. You know, it gives us more room in that decon room, which was kinda unexpected, but it just comes with some incurred costs, which if I could have accounted for in the grant, we probably would have been all right, but I didn't know that we were gonna be going upstairs. upstairs, right? And at this point, I can't put in for a grant for install services.
Right.
There's no, there is no getting,
Who grants or have.
there's no grants that are gonna say, sure, we'll pay for
Yeah,
your maintenance.
Cindy,
So, it was my idea to put it upstairs, but it was brought to my attention the other day in talking. Two things that the smaller machine, what is the difference in a smaller machine versus the one that you've got?
So they essentially just said that the biggest difference between the smaller machine and the biggest machine, the bigger machine, is that it's not gonna wash as well and it's gonna break down significantly sooner.
How about size wise? That's what, the
So
only reason,
size,
what was
size-wise,
brought up to me is if that machine malfunctions and floods upstairs,
you've got
we
a
got
whole,
a lot of damage downstairs.
potentially.
I didn't think of that when I mentioned it, but it was brought.
So, there's some troubleshooting that can happen with that, they do have pans now that you can put under
Why
under-
can't you just plumb it in?
plumber pan in, and even if you had to build a frame and raise it up and put the
So
plumber
This
pan in.
comes with
Sits,
a
it actually
base.
sits on a base that's about that tall anyway.
Yeah,
And it also, I mean,
This thing's huge.
it would have to be the water inlet that let go, or the machine itself would have to break down, but if there was a drain issue where it just started pushing water through the machine, there's actually a drain trough that we had to buy because it has to be a minimum 3-inch pipe that it drains into.
Right,
It's
so
called
you've,
box.
you've really made sure that that thing can be pumped into, that it can drain into what you've got going on up there.
She's she's had all the conversations
Right,
with ABM.
that was
I've
the
not been involved.
concern that was brought to my attention, was that trough, because that trough isn't sealed. The water pumps in and the water pumps out, but it's open.
So if that
So if
flooded,
that gets plugged or anything like that, it would flood the upstairs. That's the only concern, if there was something, you know, that we could, which I didn't ask. I just,
so
he just
you
mentioned.
don't know
it
if we could put a plumber,
It's
a
just space-wise.
pan underneath
You,
it, or,
a pan underneath the,
that's what they do nowadays under wash machines.
I know, but you've gotta see this thing to
It's huge.
understand, you're not gonna put a pan underneath that. The machine itself is,
Big.
it's
It's
huge.
got a big trough, it's gonna catch us more than a pan
Right, but-
anyway, but when that fills, it's,
Yeah,
believe
this
it's
trough
32
thing
inches
is probably
Yeah.
like this long and this wide, and the hose goes in it, because of the pipe size we have to have this trough,
I have no
because we don't have a big enough pipe. We have a 2-inch pipe, and we need a 3-inch pipe to come directly off the machine.
So I
Sounds
mean,
like,
the other option is we just put it, plumb it in where it sits.
where's it sitting now?
It's
Bay two.
behind
Back of the
461 in the
trucks.
bays.
Yeah.
at Bay 2 with,
You won't have to pay for the forklift, which I'm assuming is the most expensive piece at ABM.
yeah, it's gotta be a $3,800.
You know, instead of in your,
realistically, is it that bad to have it in the back of the bay?
right,
Not really.
No.
I
I
was
mean,
gonna say,
Herman's
We-
washer tractor sits there. I mean, I think it was just an idea of trying to
It was
keep as
just
much
simply
space.
I
trying
don't
to
like
keep
the
it.
idea of it upstairs anyway,
Well, it'd be better
it's not
than
gonna fit in the room.
lugging stuff up and down the stairs.
Maybe
And I
we
know
could
you
bring it
guys-
over closer to where the plumbing is,
Well-
because
We can.
Right.
where you guys have that built-in table for your radios, could we, it goes under the stairs?
Yeah.
Cause that's all your plumbing is right in
there.
there. I mean, you could remove that and move your radio charging somewhere
I
else.
think you're closer to plumbing to be on the back wall
On
over
the-
toward the deep.
Is that, so that's where you
I
have
think
it on the
I
back
think
wall?
we're
so
closer to
at
that
the
plumbing.
bottom of the stairs, there's a trap door. That's where all the plumbing is, and it runs into all the bathrooms. I don't know why they couldn't,
On that mechanical, on the very end of that long
that
hall?
mechanical room, the only plumbing is what they ran from that trap door at the bottom of the stairs.
That trap door, I think, sits between the two bathrooms.
Yep.
Yeah, two of the
Well,
two,
why can't you go down after the meeting, we're gonna be down station, and look at it, instead of trying to visualize here?
Yeah.
Stop right down there
Yeah,
and
that's
look.
fine, that's fine,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I would imagine it'd be cheaper. It would be more plumbing and more electrical, but you don't have to pay for the forklift.
Right.
And then the cost for Yankee equipment's covered through the grant, as far as them installing it. So, I mean, that's another quote that we can get. I don't think we really thought about it, and then the flooding piece obviously adds to it, but
Yeah.
I hadn't really thought of it either, so.
I'm still waiting for
I can
Brian
see
to
the,
start.
I can see the.
I'm just waiting for him to
I'm
start
just-
breathing.
I was just waiting when I ought to say what I gotta say here. We're gonna have to have some brainstorming sessions here on our money.
Yeah,
Our overlay, which I assume is where that would have to come from, is critically low.
I thought you still had $60,000 in the building fund.
Well, I don't have those figures right now.
I believe there's 74,000.
60 to 74,000.
Well, we had a bunch of stuff coming out of there. I
Yeah,
don't think
that's
it's
the
that
thing,
high.
is we've got some stuff coming out of that,
Cause the
For the
fan,
building?
how much it's
the
gonna be.
fan, the fans.
building,
are
right?
on.
Huh?
For the building,
For the, yeah,
so you got more stuff to put in the building.
there's a complete upgrade going to the service, the entrance into the building and the pavement.
And the fans are not in this report that I have. That, my report
I
is
believe they're in,
mid-February, February 14th is mine.
you know what, I'm gonna make a suggestion that we table this until we look at it and get our most recent financial report, and you could gather any other numbers, Cindy.
yep,
Would it not be wise to have the plumber just look at it and say, hey, where
Yeah,
would be the most beneficial?
Especially
yeah,
since
cause
they're,
they know where the, ABM did all the mechanical, right?
especially since they know where the,
Right,
You
where
know,
they know where their
what
lines
the most
are.
expensive part of their cost is.
Right,
So-
they would know where their lines are and where they could tap into their lines and, you know, access.
What's the least amount of
Right,
need just to do it?
but, what, if we find it's cheaper, would it be a huge thing to wait and put an article in town meeting in June?
No. I mean, we're gonna be asking for some stuff at the town meeting, you know, with the capital reserve fund for the grant and those things. So it could start to look like we're asking for a lot at once, but it would be no problem to do that. I mean, I don't know what has to happen with like, as far as brainstorming money. Just sold the old fire station, I don't know what has to happen with that money or what can be done with it. I'm just throwing that out. You know, whatever may be left in the
well,
building fund.
that's a good, I mean, that's
You know
why,
what I mean?
that's why I'm saying that, if we could figure out, it's hard to say, oh, let's pull some money out of, you know, without knowing the
Yeah.
numbers.
No,
Or
absolutely.
the other place.
And if we go that way, the numbers are gonna drop, I would hope drastically compared to what they gave you.
One would
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah, I mean upstairs is like a great little spot for it to be, but it is, the ABM quote, I think kind of breaks upstairs, like that's a, you know, even taking out the flooding aspect of it, $3,800 to get that thing up there plumbed in is steep,
That's the
right?
first
I mean,
heard
that
of number,
cripples,
so.
that would cripple our fire budget
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
at this point in the
Oh,
year,
yeah.
it would be bad, so, but, I mean, you might be able to plumb this thing in pretty easy on the apparatus floor. There's other departments that have them on their apparatus floor. I mean, Bangor sits in a little closet, but there's no door on it right there. Herman sits
So
in
it
their
sits right on the
apparatus
floor
bay.
of the, where the trucks are.
Yeah,
It has
It's-
a base
The
that
base
sits
gets
on.
bolted
Yes.
into the
Yes,
floor.
I understand
So
that.
wherever we pick to put it,
That's
we
what
gotta
I'm
pick
saying.
to put it.
Right.
It's
getting
gonna be a
bolted in.
one-time pick.
I do kind of agree that if it, I'd rather have it on the first floor, if, and when anything ever happened to it, usually something eventually happens to something.
Another pro that I hadn't thought about, Sean actually mentioned it to me while you guys were talking about having a washer extractor, is for anybody who has one set of gear, if they bring their gear to Bangor to get it washed, they're out of service for X amount of time. It might be 3 days till they can get back to get it. Whereas if they can set 2 hours aside, they can have their gear washed and hung up and mostly dried
In 2 hours.
in 2 hours. So, especially for our interior firemen, we can finagle some things for our exterior guys, but for our interior guys, if they don't have gear, they're now exterior guys.
They're out of service, and that's a hard
I mean,
thing
the,
to take.
the extractor is going to be a huge benefit to the personnel of the fire department.
Okay, so that's the extractor machine. Are we in agreement there? We table this until, we might even try to schedule a meeting next week.
Yep, and I'll call, Luke and Brett and,
To see if it's possible if they could give us a revised.
right.
Based on ABM, I'd say don't schedule a meeting until you talk to them because they're going to be a while. Took them a little bit to get out here.
Brett's been a little busy.
Yeah.
Okay, pay scale. You stood up the floor.
Go for it, Frank.
Yeah, so this was something that Cindy and I and Brent had actually talked about, I don't know, last year or the year before. We put a pay scale together. This is actually based off of Orrington Fires. It's changed just a little bit to adapt to ours. I can get you a copy of what theirs is. Ours is less pay. Some of the classes on there are a little different. But this is a structure that if we went to this, it incentivizes people to get more education. It incentivizes people hopefully to stay, because it would be a little bit increased pay if you have increased stuff. We need to attract some younger people. I think the average age of the fire department right now is like 56 or something like that. It's pretty old.
Yeah.
So the average
You're
age,
driving
right?
it up.
Being the youngest guy at 31, our average age is kind of steep. So it'd be nice to do some things to try to attract some people. And I know some of the younger guys want money, right? So this is a way that they still come in at a certain pay scale, but they have the ability to improve their pay based on their own motivations. So there's a couple of base pays up at the top, and then basically everything that you see paid out in cents as you go down would be classes that those people would attend, with the exception of the truck sign-offs. So like typically when someone starts at the fire department, they would get signed off on like say 498 and 467 first. Those are the two easiest trucks to get signed off on, so that's where we start you. And then once you get signed off on 461 and then 464, which is a completely different beast, those pay scales are there. And then as you go down, those are all classes. Most of them are semester-long classes, with the exception of the pumps classes. Those are 2-day classes that are only put on by the state.
So let me ask you a quick question. FFER, base rate,
Firefighter.
Firefighter?
that's just fire.
Yeah, just firefighter. I could come up and point at the stuff if you want to describe each one of them out, because some of it's abbreviated for the sake of space.
And then firefighter 1 and 2 was interior and exterior, or?
Yeah, so firefighter 1 and 2 is the certification that you get to be an interior fireman, which is
You
a
complete the academy.
semester-long thing, and then a 2-week, 8-hour days, 6 days a week
So
class.
1 and 2
hands-on.
covers interior and exterior.
Yeah, you're a certified firefighter at that
Okay,
point.
then FF 1 and 2 and EMTB.
That would be a combination of a firefighter and an EMT basic.
Okay. And then FF, just a firefighter and EMT.
Yeah, so that would be like a guy like Scott, where Scott's not firefighter 1 and 2. He's a base firefighter at the department. He's an exterior only operator, but he is an EMT basic.
And then for the drive, as you get, like what you're saying is, I'm just trying to clarify this a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
That's why I'm
driver
here.
operator, if you're, when you're cleared or whatever on each of these
Signed
trucks.
off, yep.
So potentially you could get an extra 75 cents added onto your pay, because you're cleared on 467, 498, which is a combination, 461 and 464.
Yeah.
Correct.
So one of the things though is like, there's a 10-hour driving requirement on 461 and 464. So you have to drive those for 10 hours before you can even get signed off on them. So, and then 498 is the only one that technically doesn't have to have an EVOC course. So even just to get signed off on 467, you have to attend an EVOC course, just because of the size of the apparatus, essentially. So those.
So how would this affect the overall budget? Payroll budget?
By my math, which I'm no mathematician, but by my math, you would be looking at between a $9,000 and $10,000 increase
Overall.
overall. And that was just based on payroll at a certain time of year. I think we were 6 months into the year when we did this, got the numbers on it, based on payroll divided by months, divided by the pay, and then divided by the different pay rate.
What's the base rate now?
1620.
1620. And just across the board.
Just across
Yes.
the board. So this, for a guy like Sean, who's been here for a long time, he's signed off on a lot of things, he's got some classes. Right now, he's making the same as someone who just walked in the door with 0 fire experience. So this also gives a little bit of a, hey, thank you for knowing things and having experience, and
So,
But that doesn't include stipends, correct?
this does not include the stipends.
Nope.
So like Sean isn't an hourly earner, right? So that was maybe a bad example, but like me or Adam would be a better example, as you know, that would be the hourly pay, so that really only affects calls. Whereas everything else is stipend pay, like training nights are paid out for
So
the $30.
is the 5, 10, and 15 and 20 years based on the amount of time on the current department, or the amount of time?
Yeah, their current time, yeah. So like I would be at the 10-year pay step for that,
Right,
cause I've been on the
that's why I
department for 10
said,
years.
is it the current department or the amount of years you've been in service to the town?
Years in service to the town.
Yep.
How does this compare to, like, you had Dorrington one?
Yeah,
How much, what's the difference in,
so I can pull it up real quick, cause I don't have those numbers memorized quite as well, but it's lower.
yeah, I was just looking, that's why I was asking.
Yeah,
Could we get a copy of that by any chance? Is it?
of Warrington's?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all I have is an image of it, so I can email
Yeah,
it
that's
to you
fine.
guys if
Yeah.
it loads. So their no training is $16 an hour. Okay, so not much different than us,
Okay.
but it's when you start getting certifications that it changes for them. So at firefighter 1 and 2, they moved to $20 an hour. A firefighter 1 and 2 EMT is 21. They have advanced EMT and medic. We're not licensed to that level, so I didn't include that in here. I think if at any point we were to license the department to an advanced EMT or paramedic level, we would want to address that, but we're not right now. And then basic pumps is 10 cents, advanced pumps is 20 cents. I didn't change a lot of these very much. They don't do a stipend pay for their officers, they do hourly pay for their officers, so it's $1 for lieutenant, $1.50 for captain, $2 for assistant chief. A full-timer over there gets paid $1 more at whatever pay step they're at. So if you're a full-time firefighter, paramedic, you
So
can get,
they have a full-time department as well.
yeah, they have, full-time chief and 3 full-time firemen. And then the remainder of their staff
Call.
is the same as we run. They have some per diem shifts and stuff, but their payroll is based off of that. So if you're a full-time, the only difference, like if I worked over there as a call guy, I would get paid $25 an hour, and if I got hired full-time, I would get paid 26. That's basically the only difference in pay for those guys over there. And then their years in is less than ours, but I took out the lieutenant, captain, and assistant chief stuff, so they do 5 cents for 5 to 10 years, 10 years for 11 to 15 cents, 15 cents for 16 to 20, and 20 cents for 21 plus years.
Why did you choose to leave stipends in for Newburgh and Orrington does not? What is it?
I'm not as familiar with, like, I don't know if they do stipends for their officers. I
thought you
believe
just said
they
they
do
do an
something.
hourly increase.
What's that?
I thought you just said they do an hourly increase for officers.
They do, yes. And I believe that they have, I can get a little more information. I believe that they do have an hourly or stipend pay for their officers, or at least their chief officers. I can look into that. The reason that I would say not to do that is just because it's what we have the system in place for that. You save money not paying me hourly.
Does anybody know what, you know what your current budget is for your payroll?
$70,100.
Yeah, 76 with taxes and everything.
Yeah, if you include the taxes and Medicare stuff, it's
And
76.
this would add, how much? Did
This
you
would
say?
add
Looking at
about 10,
10.
About
for
10.
sake of easy math.
Yeah, just round it.
Increase of 10, and should we throw in a couple grand for taxes?
Well,
Extra taxes? They're not
I
gonna
don't
go
know what
with-
it's gonna be.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean,
The
we
other
always,
thing is I've gotta check, I was just made aware today that, number one, because of law changes, they have to start getting paid every 2 weeks. And, the other thing is I've gotta look at their hours, because if they're hourly and they are paid, if they are paid by the hour, and they book, and I can't remember what the number was per year, they'll be subject, entitled to a couple of new state things that are coming up for paid leave and that sort of stuff. I haven't had a
Is
chance
this
to look
from
at.
Maine Department of Labor?
Paid leave for on-call department.
On-call departments?
Yep, if you book over 800 hours a year.
Oh, jeez.
I've gotta look into it,
I
I
don't think we
just was
You'll
made
never
aware,
see that.
and you're
No.
gonna get into a whole,
Pandora's box.
yeah.
I put in more
I
hours
can
than
assure you that
anybody
the
That's
does.
why I like
person-
the stipend, it's one and done.
The
There's
only
no
person
hours
that you're
involved.
paying-
You get hours involved in.
I would say the only person that's getting close to 66 hours a month is him.
You'd be surprised,
I mean,
you'd be surprised.
the last couple months I've been close, but I think that's just the AFG
You'd
grant.
be
But
surprised.
also, I mean, paid leave. I'm sure you get like a
So,
dollar.
With
for
all the
paid
law
leave.
changes on payroll,
So,
um,
oh man.
and like I said, this was just, I haven't had a chance to look into it or ask any questions.
I saw him reading some stuff too, the legislature is working on some firefighter
Yeah,
program,
Yeah.
so I don't know what they're.
OSHA's got a bunch of new regulations coming out and
Here's, what are your, anybody
I
thoughts?
like the idea of bettering yourself and having some incentive for it, as far as that goes. I do like that, for sure.
You?
I like it as well for the purpose of trying to obtain newer, younger blood, newer especially, where we see that fire departments all over the state are dwindling down to nothing. I am really torn with stipends and salary type systems. I much prefer hourly because you can control it and you get what you pay for. Both directions.
Okay.
But this is something that we really can do on a whim. This is gonna take some work, I think, to
I'd
see
like,
what it's gonna do to us.
yes, that's what I was just gonna say, I'd like to know what those new,
and I try to find more out about them. It just came up in a conversation today, so I'll
Can-
try to
can-
find more out about them. I'll contact MMA. There is a publication that was handed out for chiefs to regulate this. So, I will see what I can find out.
Does our accounting software allow us to do budget calculations by just punching in a few numbers based on past, for example, hours worked? Are you able
I'm not
to
sure I
maybe-
understand what you're.
Can we go back and use hours previously worked and manipulate, say, the rate to get a new total cost?
I
don't
I
think
see what you're
so.
saying,
I
yeah.
don't think so. 'Cause it
Is there
really-
any way you guys could provide us a little bit more information, like, here's what I'm gonna suggest, I'd like to know who's at base firefighter, who's just base firefighter right now. I guess I'm just trying to get an idea of, well, you've given me an estimate on the increase.
I think we have that.
Right,
On-
who's where.
Who's where and who's what, but who
I
would
could
fall
go back and
into,
print that for you.
I was gonna
right
say,
now.
we can print it right
I
now,
have
we've
all
got it.
done.
who's got the,
Would you go do it?
classifications?
I'll go
Yeah,
get that
if
for
you
you right
wanna
now.
do that, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely.
I think
But
that,
the one thing I have a hard time factoring in is the stipends.
yeah,
Maybe go to
We've
all
got-
hourly.
Can I go through the gym? Cindy,
People here.
can I go through the gym?
Yeah.
oh, see, here's,
And you see that they have a regular hourly rate.
right, and then there's stipend.
Right.
Now, stipend is for call, Am I correct?
No,
No,
that's,
it's just your,
that's for the titles,
Oh, for the
captains,
titles.
lieutenants.
And then the hourly raise for.
That's only given out to
But maybe give
your
them
officers.
So,
little more an hour for the title, if they hold the title.
could we pull out could you take this report and pull out the stipends? I mean, the stipend cost? Because we still
Let
have
me
the
see what he's
stipend,
looking at.
we still have the stipends in there. And then we're gonna increase the hourly rate as well.
Right,
Is that what you're saying? That's what you guys are saying?
yep.
But the hourly rate increase will be done only by classification of
Right.
where you're at. It's an incentive pay scale
Right.
to try and get some of the guys to better themselves and us.
Right.
For every class that somebody does, it's a class that nobody can take back away from you. You've gone forward. That's the whole idea behind this. I'll be honest with you. This department has some of probably the most dedicated guys that you'll ever see as far as holding to the department. But when it comes to moving forward on things that are offered up, they just hold stale.
Yeah.
And I've got to find a way to try and get some of these guys to say, hey, I'll do that. Yeah, hell, if you're gonna give me 25 cents, I'll go do that. Now, I hate to look at you guys and say that it takes money to make somebody move, but it takes money to make somebody move. That's just the way the world is, and I can't change it, no matter how much I sit down there and say, hey guys, I've got a class coming up this weekend, 2 8-hour days. Are you guys interested in doing this? And then it will give you nope, because it's a Saturday and a Sunday for 8 hours.
Right.
And nobody wants to give up their 8-hour Saturday and Sunday when they've worked 40 hours, 50 hours a week. It makes it very difficult for me as well.
Right.
Because, and now you're looking, and I'll put myself in this, because now you're looking at a guy who doesn't make anything except for the flat rate that we've all agreed upon where I'm at. And I'm probably still your most involved fire chief when it comes to going to classes, going out, getting involved, going to these meetings, doing all the stuff that we need to do to learn about the new stuff. Being here last week all day for the RCM upgrades for our radios. I mean, that's the stuff that I do all week, every week. And then if a class comes and it's something that I can go do that it doesn't cost the town, I have taken several classes. I've been online. I'm still online. We just did Scott and myself and Ed is actually finishing up what we did with that Prodigy class that we had been discussing about the EMT stuff. I mean, that was 50 hours that we had to do online. And I've finished that one up and Scott has finished it up and I have already signed myself into the newest one, which is S-13190, which is for the wildland fire. Because I'm a town fire warden and I feel like I need to know what the regulations are and what is expected out of me to be a town fire warden for the state of Maine. So I've signed myself into classes. You're not paying me. I'm doing this all on my own because you guys can't pay me. I'm where I'm at and that's all there is. So if I could get some of my other guys to say, hell, I'll sit down and do that class as well. Yeah, no problem.
Right. I totally understand the incentive.
This is
incentive
where we're
side of this.
this is where we're trying to come up with programs that are. I was just over to Carmel Fire today, and we were just talking about this same exact issue that they're having over there. And Bill, who's the captain over there, Crowley said, we're having to do the same thing. We're setting up in my training programs. We're now setting up plots and ideas of how to get people to move up on some of the trainings, and if it involves money, it involves money. There's nothing we can do. So it's not just Newburgh. Don't feel
Okay.
like we're a one department trying to hit our town up for it, because a lot of towns are trying to do this now. It's becoming a regular thing to make this happen.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I realize there's a problem in the whole industry.
Yep.
Right.
One thing I don't understand though, too, that we have officers' pay and stipends. Is there an easy explanation?
No.
of this?
No,
No,
it's
no.
just a stipend.
Stipend is the officer's pay, Brian. Each one of my officers gets,
Here's what I'm gonna suggest, why don't you let us give us some time to put this part of it together. We're already meeting again for the extractor machine, probably next week, hopefully next week.
So, it's just in the, so the code, see
Yeah.
this code
Yeah.
here? So, 14 is officer's pay, so we have that labeled as officer's pay.
Right.
We have had two lieutenants that got officer's pay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this right here, that's his stipend. That's his stipend.
It says stipend down here.
Right, but one's labeled as a stipend and one's labeled as an officer's pay. It's just a, I mean, they,
You can explain it later.
Confusing. Is that all right with you?
Yeah.
Is that, okay, all right, is that all right with you?
yeah,
I'm not.
let him just bring
because-
in that,
Yes, I'd like to have
that
that
paper so you
information
can see
with it.
what we compared it with
Right.
and
And this is for the next budget, beginning of the next budget year.
absolutely.
Is what you're saying.
We're trying to just get everything in order. This was an asking over a year or better ago that it was brought to my attention that you guys wanted some sort of a pay scale to show what we could do to set this up with, and it just never moved forward. And then we got asked again, do you guys have a pay scale? So
No,
we
it
sat
wasn't a
down
pay
this
scale.
time and really worked a pay scale out that was,
What was it?
it wasn't a pay scale. You guys had wanted a maintenance plan and a, what was the other thing? Wish list.
Isn't it?
Is that correct, Brian?
Well, this looks kind of wishy.
Yeah. This sort of looks like a wish list.
Right.
Okay, but I'd like to clarify a few things up here with these numbers
I
and,
think the general idea makes sense.
Yeah.
You just need to crunch some numbers and
yeah. Yeah, I don't really,
make sure there's not something in there that's gonna
that we're forgetting,
unintentionally bite our.
right, taxes,
I can assure
workers'
you,
comp.
we've worked our
Well,
butts off
Oh,
on
I'm
this.
sure you
Find out
have,
more
not
about this
intentional.
paying
There's nothing in there
and these
that's,
benefits
Right.
that I was told today, they're paid over a certain amount. So that'll help with the number crunching too.
Okay, all right,
I will tell you the one biggest change that I was hoping for, which I was surprised that Neil hadn't brought it up. So, I get paid a stipend for the fire chief for one set price, and I that's what I get. Sean gets a stipend pay that is less than half of what my pay is. So one of my things that and I'm not sure if it was put in on there as an example or not, I did hear him say you, Sean. But what I was hoping for one of the things to do is, so when Sean gets his stipend, I had checked with a couple of departments that use a stipend for officers, and what do you do when they get called out? They go to an hourly pay. So like Sean, I would like to see go to an hourly pay when we go out on a call. So that the stipend pay is the pay that he gets to be the AC. That means what we do in that office, paperwork, when we're setting up all the SOG, when we're doing all the stuff that's
Right.
administrative, I would like to see that be the guideline for the pricing that you see there, along with what my LTs and my captains do. If you realized the hours them boys put in for me to make stuff happen here, it would blow your mind, because we don't put it all down on paper. You guys never see a lot of the time that we put down, or I can anyways, but they don't. And that was one of the things that we discussed, was everybody else gets an hourly pay when they go out on a call, on a fire call, or an accident or whatever. Sean does not, and that's one of the things that I have been trying to figure out how I was going to change and make it asked of you guys to consider that, because I think that he deserves to get paid while he's out there by the hour on calls above and beyond what his stipend pay is gonna be. And one of the reasons for that is because as most of the incentives move up for the stipends, I try to keep everything close to a 50% of, if you will, as the numbers drop, but I still try to keep everybody within a 50% to a 50% to a 50%. And now I'm maxed out, so if I keep Sean where he's at, then the easiest way is to just put him onto an hourly pay scale when he goes out on calls. And I mean, I don't know how much time overall for a year that he puts in on the calls, because I don't keep track of that much of it. But I mean, it's not like it's going to double his salary. It's just a simple way of making the time that he's out there feasible.
I actually wasn't aware that's not how it worked to begin with, so thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Yep.
I think,
Who's Brian?
He's
I
out.
guess so.
Tick?
Ticks are out.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
A tick?
they said they are out.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Only above 40 degrees.
I just lost it.
I'm sorry.
You just lost it?
Nope, he's right over there.
Pardon the interruption
See?
for the tick, response.
Without naming names, to get a firefighter here. There's a pay rate of 25, pay rate of 15, a regular of 125, and a stipend of 166.67. There's so many
So-
different,
Right, it's just a,
is
so,
this just an accounting, different,
no, so right now they get, hourly for calls, and then they get, $25 for trainings. And then if they're an officer, then there's an officer's pay stipend.
but the training, if it's at 25, on this one I'm
That's
looking
where
at,
their
that's
training
3
is.
hours, and
It's
the gross
actually
pay
30.
was 75,
It's,
$75.
so it's,
Cause their training went over an hour.
so the training is actually $30. We had that approved, you guys approved
Yeah,
that
I'm
for a
looking-
raise
He's
for
got an
30.
old one.
That's an old one.
Yeah.
So it's $30. And then that $30 covers for 2 hours. So if you take $30 and divide it by 2, that's $15 an hour. That's actually less than our $16.20 an hour that we get. So we were fine with that factor. But anything over 2 hours, then it was also approved that we get times 2, meaning that the guys will get another $30 pay if we go over the 2-hour mark to 2.5 hours and on. Because there's a lot of trainings that we go to, say in the Bangor, that we go to the Bangor training facility, or we go to Carmel, somewhere where we're out with other departments, and it takes some serious timeline.
live fires are a 5-hour ordeal.
Yep, so when we do those, yeah, live burns are extremely time consuming from start to finish. So we get times 2, so we'll actually get $60 for anything that goes over 2.5 hours. So that has been approved by you guys, last year.
I don't
I
remember.
think it was last year.
So for this next meeting, can the board get, reports on, what am I looking for here? What each member's been paid, whether it's hourly or stipend, do you see what I mean? Is that possible? Like, this person
You're asking that
got a
system a lot.
stipend, but they also got this much for training and this much for
It's nothing I
hourly?
can pull off the computer.
Oh, okay.
We'd have to pull it off time sheets.
Oh.
If it's gonna make you guys say yes to the pay scale, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Because you cheap hourly right now.
How
about-
much time do you want?
A year?
Wow.
No.
Well, maybe that's not.
I think it would be easier just to go with it. add a line that
So-
get an extra dollar for officers' pay and strictly hourly. I know it'll make it much easier for us in the office. That's
So,
my recommendation.
Also, the way that I came up with the 10,000 number was what we had spent in payroll minus the chief's, well, so payroll minus the chief's pay, because he's a salary, just straight out.
Right.
And then I just divided that out by 12 months and then by the 1620.
Okay,
And then I did the same math by 1840, which I think is the average pay
Average,
based
yeah.
on that.
right.
You know, each person's pay, I believe works out to about 1840.
Yeah, it was.
I had another
But you
version.
did say that
I think it's
they
actually
have
lower
a-
now because we're one less person.
one of the lines on there for Orrington has for, officers' pay, for like
Yes.
$1 extra hour.
Yeah, so a lieutenant gets paid $1 extra hour, $1.50 for a captain, and $2 for an assistant chief. I can guarantee you save money paying me a stipend.
Yeah.
I'd rather that
I
pay
wanna,
scale.
I wanna have a meeting where we're just talking about this. You know what I mean? Is that all right with you guys?
Yeah.
I mean, I would feel better if we weren't, had all this other stuff we're waiting,
Yep,
and we could just focus on
Yep.
these two items, for example.
yep.
So, is that our, you all set with that?
Yeah, this
Warren?
was simply like, the matter of bringing this up was, we kind of accounted for this in our budget request
Okay.
Yep.
when we submitted the budget, so
Yeah.
we need the pay scale approved in order for that to matter, right? So,
Okay,
that was why we brought it up, so that we can start the conversation now rather than in June.
right, at the end of this meeting, we'll set up another meeting.
That's fine.
Okay. So, moving forward. Library, none. Did you guys all read the animal control report? The sheep is gone. The sheep issue has been resolved.
Don't ask.
So, any questions on the animal control report?
Did we send a bill to the owner of the sheep? I think we should be sending a bill to the owner of the sheep, to be honest.
Well, I'll let the town manager handle that, but the sheep is
It's not
now.
even from Newbury.
I know, the
If
sheep's
it
not
was,
from
if it was,
Newburgh.
if it was a citizen, I would care,
He transplanted to Newburgh.
but, I mean, we've
Oh,
got,
it's just like if somebody's hitchhiking through town and they walk in this office, we have to give them general assistance.
Well, I guess you did a good job with that then.
Once they walk in town, they're a resident.
Well, don't worry about the pay scale anymore, I know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, that's good. I'm with you, I like that.
All right,
See
Cindy,
you in
I
the
am gonna
morning.
hand it over to you for
All right.
the next items.
Okay, so I got caught up on my bank reconciliations.
Yep,
There is an adjustment on there for 500 and change. I had Cindy McGinnis in here for 3 days trying to find it. I spent, I don't know how much time. We're gonna leave it and let the auditor look at it.
okay,
But it's in September, and with that adjustment, October, November, December, and January balance to the penny.
okay.
For the life of us, we can't find it.
$526.64.
Oh, jeez.
So, and Cindy, I mean, she can do bank recs frontwards and backwards,
Mm,
and, yeah, she went through everything.
okay.
So, I gave you budget reports. So, letter to the RSU. I am hoping you had a copy of this in your packet. I'm hoping that you will agree to sign this. Because what you see right here is envelopes to every school board member and the superintendent. These already hold, and I'll give you,
Can you give me a copy of the letter? I do not have a copy of the letter.
you
Do
didn't get a copy
No,
of
I
the
didn't.
letter in your packet?
This, oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm staring right at it, I apologize.
So I'm gonna give you a copy of these.
I thought it was probably my other stuff.
And hand them down, Brian. These are copies from Frankfurt, Camden, and Winterport, same letter, just a letterhead from each town, all signed by their boards. And, what our plan is you guys agree to sign this one, it's gonna go in these envelopes with the rest of the towns, with a copy of the backup to the numbers, and it's gonna be sent to all the school board members,
What's it basically about, Cindy?
giving us back our money.
Oh, you mean that $9.8 million surplus for school board?
That'd be
I
nice.
think it's
So-
a great idea.
Do you want me to read this?
Yeah.
So, what the letter says is, directors of the RSU number 22 school board, this letter will provide insight and transparency to the RSU 22 fund balance that was reported from the RSU 22 audit. The RSU number 22 fund balance is reported at $4,996,750.78 over the legal amount they're supposed to have.
Oh my God.
Wow.
The following information has been collected from the RSU 22 audit and has been adjusted to show the actual amounts of your balance. So,
That-
I won't read the whole thing,
No,
but,
that's
There
all
it
done.
is, yeah.
I worked with
Mhm.
Camden and Winterport and some other people, and
Brian's got the pen ready.
we had these
Let's go.
confirmed. I did give it to Tim, he didn't see any problem with it, legal wise.
Of course.
But I have the signable copy here,
Okay,
if you're willing to sign it.
Yes, let's go.
I'm willing to
Cindy.
sign it.
You can't take it anymore.
Was that letter basically from other, like Winterport?
It's the same
schools?
letter.
It's
It's the same letter from-
It's the
all-
same
and
exact
they
letter,
have-
All the members of the
and there's
different,
all
towns.
copies of the letters
which I'm surprised
from each
everybody.
town in
I'm
here,
surprised
with the
everybody came
backup
together and did
from
it.
Yeah,
the
no
audit
kidding.
pages.
Okay,
Should
And
speak volumes.
It worked last time.
okay.
it did. The very last part of it, says, the
I'll
only
give Cindy
solution is to return the money to the
Yeah.
town
Yeah.
so they can hold the funds in reserve to offset any increases in the RSU 22 school budget.
What are they trying to do?
They'll just
Yeah.
ask for it again next year.
Yep, yeah, they just right
They
through the
want to
roof.
put it
So-
in reserve funds.
So do we have a plan in place yet of
Pretty much.
going public with it?
That was my next question, is I'd like to put it in the newsletter and send it out to the residents.
Newsletter, I do social
please.
media, and you know something, I wonder if it wouldn't be worthwhile, photocopy and send it to some of these news outlets.
100%.
Blow it up.
And I have a
I'm
copy.
gonna tell the Winterport Town office the same
can.
thing. Yeah, definitely give Heather a copy. Got about 1,000 followers in the town anyway.
Newburgh Network tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I can't
Maybe
wait.
if I go out tonight, I don't know. No, I'll, when are the letters gonna be sent out?
I'm putting them in the mail tomorrow morning.
Okay. Grab yours now, sit still.
Wait till the school board has it to post
Oh,
it.
yeah, I know.
Who discovered this, was it you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay,
I just didn't trust myself with the numbers, I had to get them
yeah,
Yeah.
confirmed.
right.
When it's time to go public,
I did go to their budget meeting and ask for them to give us the money back.
I remember that.
No.
They told, I was
Oh,
gonna say, they
yeah,
told you
they're
no,
gonna tell
right?
everybody no.
And based on their fund balance, right now, as of the end of 2022, is $8,169,895, which is $4,996,750.78 over the legal.
4 million, you
Yeah.
meant.
So
Yeah.
they're only allowed to have so much, each
They're-
school district.
Well,
is-
that
It
was the
just
thing.
went up to 9%. It used to be
3%.
much less.
When I went to the meeting, it was 9%, that's what I was told. Well then,
you
once
said
I
that
got
was-
looking, I started in 2017 and it was 3%.
Okay.
It changed in 2021 for the years 2021, 2022, 2023, and I think it ends in, is it 24 or 25?
Did that have anything to do with the schools getting money from the government for their, COVID?
I don't know, but I can tell you, based on another spreadsheet that I have in my office, that the increase they've gone up every year
Mm-hmm.
was not necessary in my
Okay.
regular fund balance.
Yeah.
This is when my wife got off the school board, because there's a lot more money there too, that they're storing away in other accounts.
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
yeah,
that
yeah.
I'm sure it's going elsewhere.
It's really, really shady.
Yep.
It wasn't all
So-
that long ago, they had like a forensic financial guy on the board going after him real hard,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so,
I was fucking,
Jason.
I know Jason quite well.
Poor Jason.
yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I don't begrudge somebody having a fund balance for a buffer, but this
That's
is not
Yeah, that's
called
not,
for.
that ain't a
That's
buffer,
not
that's,
I mean, the amount that the school's taking every year is more than,
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
more than your fire department budget.
the increase, you know, they've increased roughly right around $1 million.
Right.
Since 20 every year,
every year,
and dump that plus more into their fund balance.
into their fund balance, yep.
We can't afford it.
No,
No, we
Yeah,
run,
no,
we basically
no, we
run the
can't.
town on 19% of our budget.
Yeah.
19%,
So-
that's what's left.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay,
Make
we
sure
could,
I
we could
get
talk
the-
about that all night.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
I would email that to the news outlets, just, you know.
we are gonna put it out to as many as we can. I was,
Please
I
make
was
it
very
very
glad
well
when
known when this is
Camden
gonna get
came on
discussed.
board.
Yeah.
I'm surprised, but
Good.
good job.
I'm gonna move on here without you for a minute.
Okay,
Letters for the town report, that's our report.
that's your letters,
By April 1st.
we'd like to have them by April 1st.
Okay, selectmen's letter.
Go.
Let's see, alright, so,
I'll look at this in the selectmen's letter.
okay, so plow contract. I wanted to clarify, because I know there's been a huge controversy on how much more the plow contract is based on what we're paying now and what we're going to next year. So I did a little digging, and so currently, the new contract is gonna be, currently we're paying $175,260. Plus we pay extra for the sand. And we pay extra for the town office. This new contract includes all that, which makes a increase of $75,690 from what we're in right now.
Okay,
When we went from our previous plow contractor prior to Wellman's, our increase was $62,420, and that was
That was years ago.
9 years ago.
years ago, yeah.
So to pay an extra $75,000 today, I mean, it is a lot of money, but based on what we paid 62 when we went from Kendall to Wellman's, and now we're going from Wellman's to Hopkins, and there's a $75,000 increase. I just wanted to, because everybody was so mortified that
Yes.
it went up so much, but when we went from Kendall to
So-
Wellman's, it went up
Right, yes, it did, I remember that.
significantly.
But boy, did we get a lot better stuff.
Yeah,
a
we
lot
did.
better plowing.
Just keep our fingers crossed. So-
The plow contract we had with Wellman's, this current year was the 175,860.
Yeah.
And then it was the additional for the,
Right, because I included everything in their contract. So
in
Hopkins.
the new
Right,
contract,
so right now we pay extra for this dooryard,
right,
we pay for our sand,
right.
we buy the salt, which we will with
always
Hopkins.
bought the salt, right.
But, with Hopkins, I included the sand. I'm a firm believer, if you coming from a family of plow drivers, you know, I don't want somebody else putting up the salt sand that I'm gonna put in my truck.
Right,
I believe they ought to do it themselves.
right.
That they're responsible for the sand.
So you
They can't blame
include those two
anybody else.
additional costs in the
So,
new
right,
contract?
so the town office included, and the sand is included in the plow.
And the water supply too, right?
Yep, all of it.
Yeah, okay.
Good.
So that's actually, I'm glad you did that, because it was $62,000 increase.
When we went to wellness.
And that was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
here, and it's only 75
So,
Fuels increased
For
too.
the first year.
Yeah, this is true.
for the
for the
first.
first year, and we did, you know,
Well, that's a good point. Did you add in the fuel surcharge when comparing Wellman's to this one?
you know,
Well,
I mean, that's,
you always find something.
Yeah,
I thought I did good,
yeah.
but,
That's why it's increased.
letter from Eagle Point Energy Center.
Yeah.
Is everybody all good with that? Eagle Point,
so that means they're not gonna start until next year,
well, they
2025.
just got a big $10 million, what do they call them, partner? That's gonna dump $10 million in
Investor?
Investor.
investment,
Can I ask what that is? I'm just not familiar
the
with
old
that.
perk,
Oh,
the old perk.
Perk has been bought out.
That was on the news tonight.
Let's see how they do.
Yeah, starting this Thursday, because we've been going to Juniper Ridge under perk, but starting this coming Thursday, the one coming up, they will be going in under.
you'll
these
start
guys.
accepting these guys? Cool.
I don't understand why the state.
That'll put Orange and Fire back on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Alright, so,
Helps them really fire on the numbers.
Absolutely.
did I give you those letters?
No, not yet.
You
I
want
can
all of them?
I can take
You
a
want all
picture,
of them?
whatever you wanna give me.
Okay. Just, I only have one sign from us,
Okay.
so I can give you one with no signatures on it, unless you want the signatures.
It's up to you guys if you want your signatures on them or not, I mean, if it
I can
doesn't
Are
have
you
you
gonna
sign
post
another
another
one.
one?
Yep.
Well, if you got a copy right there that she can have, that's,
I've got
the
another.
note signatures, I mean,
Just
you just saw her
I've
sign
got
it
more
all.
copies.
Okay.
I just have a copy.
Right.
So,
Just rotate. We're all set.
water tank, so we, what do they call them, expansion tanks. We have two 100-gallon expansion tanks. That, the big blue tanks off
Yes,
your pump.
Yeah,
We have two 100-gallon ones,
here at the school,
yes,
here at the building.
and they failed, one of them failed. And the other one was failed. So, long story short, we had to have them replaced. They did it during school vacation, so it wasn't an inconvenience to the kids. It was just one day, us girls had to go to the fire station to use the bathroom.
Oh my god, that was little jaunt down there.
So the total was $7,000 some odd dollars,
Tip jar, but I didn't get any.
which we're gonna pay half. Which was in my threshold, that's why I went ahead a bit, got it done when it was convenient for everybody. And so, I wanna sign that one.
I saw you rub your head when she said that number.
Oh, yeah, that was instantaneous.
You just want to get another tick.
Okay,
That's right.
so FEMA. I have done all the paperwork, registered, with the FEMA, it's right here. That's that money that you spoke about.
Yep.
I guess based on what I was told by the Naomi, what I came up with was, $6,657.18.
Hey, whatever.
90% of that is our generators.
Yep.
So, I did meet the threshold, I didn't think I would, but I did meet the threshold. And,
Every little bit helps.
yep.
So
So,
reimbursement for the storm,
Right.
is that what that was? Yeah.
here's a copy of all four. So,
Alright, thank you much.
yep. fuel bid. So, in preparation for June 30th, I put fuel, we sent out like an RFP. I don't advertise it, and in papers, and I've got mine all messed up now. So we
See how
sent,
easy it is to do?
yeah. So, we, sent a letter out. Instead of advertising it and all that, we just sent it to every fuel dealership around. It said, "Tone of may concern, Tom Newberg is looking for a request for proposal to lock into a price per gallon for fiscal year 24-25 for oil and propane." Our fiscal year runs from July to June, so this would start July 1. I got 2 back. Dead River and there's an RH Foster here somewhere. There's the Dead River one.
Can't believe small companies didn't jump on that.
We sent them out to Pearson's, all
That's
of
who
them.
I was actually thinking of, Mike Pearson or
Yep.
Danny
No,
Pearson's.
we sent it out to all
I
of them
can't
with the
imagine
deadline.
it, them guys.
Why can't I find the other one, Brian?
Oh, it's right, it's hooked right to here.
It is?
Yeah, Dead River.
Okay.
Okay.
Foster.
Oh,
Is
No,
it-
no,
Excuse
it's
me, Foster.
RH Foster. Too many papers.
Too big, they don't have
Too many
Yep.
papers. What's this one?
to.
So
Big-
this,
big
for
contract like
Dead
this.
River gave you a price of $3.
RH Foster's right here.
Okay. Dead River was $3 for heating oil and $1.67
Yep.
for propane.
And Foster's was, RH Foster's was
No shit.
$2.89 for heating oil and $1.79 for
Got up on
propane.
propane, dropped on the oil.
Put 26 Boston Road on that one too.
Yeah,
Really?
I'll bring my tanks over
But-
here, I'll help
but-
out.
Kidding.
So,
That's a
just
way.
by chance, today got a thought and went back and, cause we get from Dead River right now. And we're paying $2.18 a gallon for it.
Don't
They-
tell them that.
And their quote was what?
3. Dead Rivers was 3 for heating oil, right?
Right,
Or was that for
Wow.
propane?
no, this is propane,
Propane. Oh, you're paying $2.18 for
Yeah.
propane.
and they're cheaper on there,
Yeah.
Holy
right?
crap.
Aren't they $1 something?
Yeah.
$1.67.
No, that's a heck of, I'm telling you, that's a heck of a deal for,
You said we could
Wall
get a
mounted.
discount because they're emergency, it's running emergency
Love it.
generators. You told me that one time. Did you lie to me?
No,
wow, he's onto it.
you pay extra for generators. If you run just a generator, you pay extra, that's why we're paying this. Any household that has a generator and they buy propane just for the generator, they pay what they call a luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did
you
pay
pay
rent.
extra for propane. So,
Same company for both.
So are you gonna, do we need to act on it, or, I mean,
well,
wanna see if we get any more?
I wanna lock them in. So, do we wanna lock in
How
this
long
one?
did you wait on that Sunday? I'm just curious,
Huh?
how long did it take for those ones to come back? I was just curious when you put it out versus when you got,
We put it out February 15th, and the deadline was,
think the small companies would have been older.
I can't imagine. I mean, I'm glad that we got a good deal, but
please submit your proposal by March 1st. So they have 2 weeks.
wow.
Were you using more heating oil or propane?
We're good, I put it down, we figured it out to be, 2,000 to 2,500 gallons of propane and 4,000 to 4,500 gallons of heating oil.
That's a lot of propane.
Yeah, you're heating that fire station with propane and a generator and,
We had that, yeah, we was all power for quite a while,
Right.
so, that
4
generator.
4 days a day, a time.
So math says we go with the cheaper on the heating oil.
You almost doubled your gallons with heating oil
Yeah,
versus the
so
propane, so.
RH
that's the one.
Foster was cheaper, and I'll bet you I can
I bet you can,
negotiate the propane.
yep,
Yep.
I bet you can
Okay.
too.
Alright,
Go with the same.
If you have.
You're good with that?
Both of them together.
Yes, I'm
That's
good
what
with that.
we do, yes.
I just wanted to lock it, we've never been locked in,
Yeah.
Right.
only because all we
Yeah,
had
oh,
out
yeah.
here was the propane for the generator, and the school always
Right, now
locked
you've
in,
got too
but
many
they,
We've
negotiations.
been lucky, we've walked in the last 3 years and it's like a super.
Nothing to do with this, but did we skip over roads?
not yet.
No,
Oh, we haven't got to that
we're
yet?
not there yet.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so, I think that's all for me. You don't have any?
So you're locking in RH Foster.
Yep.
Alright, cemetery is nothing, obviously. Now we can do roads.
Yeah.
Driveway correction.
Yes, so, we have a driveway over on the Chapman Road. It's Andy Grover's driveway,
Okay,
and it's paved, it's old, but it's paved. And if you look at his driveway, he has hedges on both sides of his driveway. So when you drive in, there's hedges on both sides. Well, the driveway is sinking. It's gotta be that far. Well, the culvert's showing in his driveway, and it's a bump, and he wants us to fix it. But I'm afraid that if we do, we're gonna end up paving his driveway, cause we're gonna have to dig it up. So, my question to you is, I don't have a problem fixing the culvert, but how far do we wanna go?
How do you not asphalt over the top of it if it's there?
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna use a lot of money fixing these culverts.
I asked a long time ago if we could have the planning board change the,
And I asked, but
we're obligated to.
How- I know, how is it worded again in our,
I wish,
It's in
I just
our,
wanted
Put
them,
in the first one, and
Right.
then we have to maintain.
we have to maintain?
but if they've got one already, one of these old nasty metal ones, do we make them put the first plastic one in or just the first one? Cause they've already put the
No, you
first one in.
can't. They buy the first one,
Yeah, but
the rest of us up to us.
Well, that was before we even had an ordinance.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Right.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Could we negotiate it?
You'd have to.
that's the
modify-
hard part.
You'd have to
You know, I
modify
mean,
your
you
rule.
buy-
The culverts are bad enough and the labor and stuff, but then you gotta have them patch in all these driveways. Just to give you a hint, I'm leaving that extra $100,000 in the budget this year for roads,
Yeah.
cause this is gonna get expensive. It is.
It doesn't
Replacing
say,
these culverts.
right, cause it doesn't say plastic anywhere in that.
Just says they,
It just says they buy the first, you maintain from there,
Right.
so,
but if they've already got one, which, we replaced a 4-inch pipe over on the North Road.
yeah, no, that was a joke.
Got a pretty good bump from mine too, but I was gonna repave my driveway this year anyway.
But that's the problem, because
Well,
they're
now you
gonna
know.
get you with,
Right.
Yep,
That house has been there a long time,
yep,
before the ordinance
Yep.
existed, basically.
I just wish we could do something with the ordinance.
The problem is, if you set a precedent here, yeah, I'd like to do
Keep
something with the
going.
ordinance.
Yeah, we should get that fixed.
that's gonna be your first line. The other thing is, unfortunately, you do it for one, you're gonna end
Right,
up doing for all.
But it'll
of
give
it.
us a while. If they're made to put the first plastic one in,
But how
after
would you,
maintaining that.
would you take that ordinance to the town meeting and have it
Well,
changed
it's the
there? I mean,
planning
that'd
board
be
won't
something
change
that,
it. I've asked, the planning board won't change it.
Why won't the planning board change it?
They want it the way it is, the town replaces the culvert.
We can't specify what kind of culvert though, that is
Well,
installed?
that's the hard part, it doesn't say.
because when that was written, I don't think, it was still,
Yeah.
steel
That's
culverts
what my
was still.
point is,
Well,
yeah.
no, they just changed it. We've only been responsible for these culverts for the last, 3 years?
Really?
Prior to that, it
Yeah.
wasn't in there. your culvert in your driveway was your
It's
problem.
your problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's, it should be how it is, honestly.
Now they've made it put it in the
3 years
ordinance,
ago,
so
it was,
that the town has to maintain them.
without specifying the first plastic.
Yeah, that's why we got all these, this is one of them old metal rusted
Yep.
culverts.
Yeah, and those things are, I mean, you know what that's gonna
Yeah.
consist of.
And,
Whose idea was that? That's not,
that's
that's a
expensive.
terrible idea.
Well, 3 years ago would have been Ryan. He would have been the chair on that one.
But I just asked
so
them, in the new one, they
I was gonna
won't
say,
change
have
it.
you, I haven't even heard that mentioned
Yeah,
in the planning board at all, so,
When's the next meeting?
next Wednesday,
Wednesday?
yeah.
Wednesday, yeah, next Wednesday.
we can,
It would be nice, 'cause
would you like
this
me to
is
bring
gonna
it
get
up and
expensive.
see what they'll,
This is gonna get
what they'll
expensive.
say? Because
Yeah.
we would have to change, I'm assuming that the planning board would have to change the
The land
terminology
use
to
before
it,
it comes here.
and then bring it to
Yeah.
you guys to approve.
Yeah,
This is an Adrian question, since he's the head.
Right.
right, they change
Oh, yeah.
it,
Right,
they change it, we
So
we
we're
approve
gonna
it, and it
table-
goes to town.
they're on here for ordinances, planning board. I only have one, but they've got one other one that is gonna be ready, so at our rescheduled meeting, or next week, they wanna come. Because they should have the other one done.
Couldn't they just
Okay.
rewrite that
Six.
paragraph in that in the ordinance?
Well,
She's
there's-
saying they don't want to,
Yeah,
for some reason.
Bring it
I
up.
heard the phone.
It was supposed to be written just the opposite.
right.
I guess I'll go Wednesday. I guess I'll go Wednesday.
There's nothing to
Nah.
specify what town even.
Remember, I'm coming for assistance.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Brian, I think it was supposed to be written that we put in the first one to our specs, and then
Yeah, I
after
remember
that,
this conversation with Ralph and how they did Herman.
I think that's how they do Hamden. Is that how they do Hamden?
I don't know.
You don't work in
It's been a long time since I had culvert in Hamden, thank God. Well, I don't know what you wanna do about that.
A lot of people are gonna get a new
I don't
first 10
see
feet of
how
their
they
driveway.
choice. Somebody wanted to-
No, a lot of people are gonna get very upset because they're probably figuring that if they got another one, when they've got it made, if we
Well,
change it up, then,
There's one up on the North Road right now that we probably should do.
yep.
It's a metal one, got a hole in the top of it, but it's a 2-foot culvert
100 times.
and a driveway, and it needs another 2-foot culvert. That's expensive.
That's the first I've ever heard of the town being responsible for your,
For the rest of
for
your
your
life.
driveway forever. That's ridiculous.
That's the way it is with the state.
Yeah.
The
I
state,
thought the
you
state
buy the
had
first
something
one,
to do with
It
that.
is.
and the
That's-
state will
the state
maintain
maintains
them
them
from there on in.
And I think that's how we,
Yeah.
when that went through, that was how they did it, they followed the state, basically the state ordinance on,
Well, we don't have Janet Mills money, so.
Yeah, right.
just ask her, she'll give it to you.
Yeah, right.
No, it's a lot of money.
So, do
I'm
we
gonna
wanna,
say, I'm gonna table this until after we have a conversation with the planning board.
we're tabling the ordinances.
No, just
the
this
driveway.
road driveway repair.
Right, but the next thing under new business, they couldn't get here tonight is ordinances.
Okay,
They
so
want
we'll
it
table
tabled.
that as well, okay. Okay, Kurt, you're up, Christmas
Cindy.
bonus.
Yeah, the only thing I had about that is, I just figured that everybody, department heads should plan ahead for their budgets for Christmas bonuses rather than ask us a couple
Okay.
weeks before.
But we're-
You know, just add it in your budget, get it approved that way, and be done with it, so we don't have
Into
to.
your employee budget,
Yeah. So,
And no mistletoe.
so we'll choose the bonuses instead of you guys choosing them, is that what you're saying?
well, you could base your choice off what we have recommended in the
Well, you put it in
past.
the budget, and then we approve it or
Right.
disapprove it,
Okay,
so be careful.
He's not
Yes.
gonna be generous.
I got a question on roads, but you wouldn't,
Oh,
nobody was looking at me,
sorry.
but,
Too
um,
late,
huh?
too late.
Too late? I was one, we'll go back to the road before you end up.
Well, that's right, go ahead, go
No, I was
ahead.
kidding.
What do you, road commissioners plan on doing with the, when you come to the end of the North Road, and 69 about cutting them trees back to our line, because if you meet 2 trucks there, you're error. I always have to get out, when I get to the stop sign, get out, turn my mirror and straighten it out, because the branches hit the truck.
One's on Roger Ward's property?
Yep. But that's, you know, they're grown way out beyond the telephone pole. And I know I don't know how many rod road that is, you know, but to cut it back from the center
Yeah,
line.
we have a couple of trees, there's one right coming down the road right before, it fell this last storm. And somebody cut it back and just pushed it in a little bit, but that's pretty close to the road. We've always had Wellman kind of at our disposal to handle a lot of that stuff. Is there anybody that we can call for?
You're still doing it, right? He said he was.
He's doing some more
He's
grinding.
doing the grinding up on the north
I
road.
don't, I think these ones, I think the one I'm talking about is too big for the grind.
There is some that is
But are
too
they
big for grind
on
up.
town property or are they on private property?
It's gotta be town property. Where's the telephone pole? They on
Nope,
town property?
nope.
Okay, so you gotta
Sanger
find,
Hydro has a right of way.
okay, so where's the how many feet from center line is do we have?
I
Well,
would
we-
say to the ditch,
Huh?
ditch line.
There's no ditch line there.
33.
So if you get down the road, is that how you're gonna measure it?
I don't know.
I just had, just so you have some perspective, my property, I'm at 28